Hello everyone. Today I would like to talk about my music class because my friend, shout out to Lucas again, asked me to talk about my music class because I shared some snippets of what we were learning about in class last semester. I'm putting on my watch right now. We have tutoring in about an hour after this, so I'm gonna record like 20-30 minute video maybe, and then we'll go tutor at Starbucks, and then in another hour and a half after that we'll be tutoring another person. And it's cool because we're actually tutoring this like 50-year-old woman first, and then like a 7-year-old kid after. So pretty diverse. There's a lot of people who want to learn English over here. Oop, my computer is bugging out. Okay. Let's see. I'm just pulling up my music notes. Did I even take notes for this class? Oh my gosh, I don't think I did. Oh, you know what? I took them. Oh, I took them physically. I wrote them down. That's fine. What I'll do is I'll just pull up a couple assignments and try to talk about the most interesting stuff from there. So our first like big assignment, pretty much, it was a pretty easy class, and I really liked my professor. He's like a short old white dude, but he was very like you know, not self-aware, but like aware of the diversity in the classroom and tried to make everyone's voices heard. So that was nice. And he would like I don't know, I feel like he would kind of belittle himself almost so that everyone would like give him credibility as to why he was teaching the class. Because he would talk about like Native American music and African music. Let's see, I'll try to remember all of them. Japanese music, like old, traditional, and modern. And then some like Eastern European, like Bulgarian, and I think Yugoslavia or somewhere. Czechoslovakia, somewhere around there. And where else? South American, of course. And, you know, from personal experience, he would talk about like blues and rock and all that good stuff. So our first like major assignment was just to pick a genre of music and then create a bibliography for it, for like a paper that we theoretically would do using these sources. So I picked reggae and Jamaican music and stuff. I think we might have had to do an explanation for why we picked the genre, and I just like said I like Bob Marley and whatnot, and I was curious to learn more about the history. But yeah, that was a pretty easy assignment. It didn't take me too long. Oh, you know what? We actually did this assignment first, about a month into the class. But it was why study ethnomusicology, which is a fancy word for saying world music and cultures. So it was 2 pages long, so I'll read out the most interesting stuff. But I said it's both 100% both useful and enriching in daily life. It enables you to talk to people of all kinds of different backgrounds and discuss some commonality, whether you like the music or not, which leads to other conversations you might not have had before, expanding your horizons. It allows you to share memorable times to... I'll just read the whole thing. I'm a good writer, so... not to glaze myself, but... It allows you to share memorable times together because you can listen to the same song again in the future, and it might adapt a whole new meaning or perspective. adapt, and I think I meant to say adopt. Even if the music itself doesn't stick with you at first, you may grow attached to it if you listen enough times and thus grow closer to the culture as well. Or the differing practices among all sorts of tribes and cultures may ingrain themselves in you subconsciously. Either way, ethnomusicology can broaden your horizons and leave you receptive to brand new experiences. I said expand your horizons before, but I forgot I actually wrote it down here later in the paragraph. That's funny. There's a beautiful jazz, in parentheses, mainly piano, piece called I Love Music by the Ahmad Jamal Trio. Its name perfectly sums up my relationship towards music and other cultures. It was sampled by one of my favorite rappers, Nas, in his track The World Is Yours off his debut Illmatic album. The sample occurs 5 minutes into the original song, and it is such an emotional 5 or 10 seconds of music. It is quite literally making me tear up listening to it as I type this, after not having listened to it for upwards of a year now. That's the best thing about music too, is like you can listen to it every day nonstop, repeat it until you get sick of it, and then just not listen to it anymore. And then after a while, you go back to it and it's like brand new. It's like amazing, great feeling. The pianist successfully conveys every emotion, every facet of life as the song progresses with every sped up series of notes, triumphant and ecstatic at times, and sorrowful or despairing at others. So that was the first page. Second page, here we go. Growing up, I'd been exposed to all sorts of genres of music, ranging from experiencing the Beatles' one album on loop when moving from Washington State to Maryland, to Latin salsa, bachata, and reggaeton in Puerto Rico, where my mom is from, and in the kitchen whenever she was cooking dinner. Funnily enough, I recently learned a few days ago that in one bachata song I grew up hearing, Bachata in Fukuoka, the singer Juan Luis Guerra is literally singing about dancing with his lover in a pretty city in Japan, which, you know, I can relate to. Both of my parents were in the Army, so I was born in Syracuse, New York. We moved to Florida when I was about 3. They got divorced when I was 5 or 6. Then I lived in Washington State until I was 10, when we moved near Annapolis, Maryland for my mom's final stationing before retirement. I'd like to say that ever since moving to the East Coast, especially in middle and high school, I truly developed my own music taste and experimented listening to hip-hop, jazz, punk, rock, and even some video game music from countries like Japan. In taking this course, I aspire to learn about subcultures and niche cultural practices I wasn't aware of before through sharing music. I hope to hear unique sounds and noises and make connections with my classmates who might introduce me to their music tastes or backgrounds. I will savor the joys that come with learning about different cultures in a different environment than what I'm used to, in a multicultural classroom with people from around the world. I feel honored to be here at Temple University in Tokyo, Japan, and I will not waste this opportunity to immerse myself not only in the culture and modern music scene here, but in various ethnicities and parts of the world we will learn about in class. Which, you know, I will say I maybe haven't been able to experience like underground music events as much as I'd like to by now, but you know, I'm busy. And actually the first time I ever went to a club was on a rooftop of like one of the tallest buildings in Shibuya, and yeah, that was the first time I was in a club like ever. And they didn't check our IDs because weren't drinking, but there was like a DJ, and it was great. It was a good vibe. We walked around. There was kind of like a garden on the top, and it was just a nice vibe. It was at night. And then another time, my friend ran an event, and he was sponsored by Red Bull and this matchmaking company that's prevalent in Europe. And that was a great time. I actually got a tattoo there, the Sun Pirates tattoo from One Piece. And that was a really good time. I was dancing, some of our friends were DJing, and they were acting as the bouncers, like switching off, and one of our friends was like using a professional camera and photographing people, and it was a great night. One of my favorite and only club experiences, since I still am underage, but that's neither here nor there. And looks like my girlfriend is getting out of the shower now, so I will stop recording for a second. Okay, finally, I will talk about our last assignment, which I'm trying to remember. Oh, I think we did have a final, but I got a 75 on it, 3 out of 4, right in the middle of being good and bad. But I ended the class with a high B, I think. Oops, and I just dropped my phone. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I wish I had the physical papers. I saved them. They're just at my dorm room right now. But it's okay. Most of it was pretty boring stuff, but I covered like the main cultures and areas of the world that we talked about, I believe. Oh, and Indian music. We also studied Indian music. And, you know, that's pretty major because Bollywood and Indian music is very interesting, and I like the instruments. Alright. And maybe Malaysia or some Southeast country too. But I'll talk about this video performance assignment now. So I wrote about Korea and Kuwait, which, oh yeah, okay. Okay, yeah. I'll just read what I wrote again. So, in the video titled, and I do not know how to read that, so forgive me, but yeah, in that video, so he gave us a couple options, like 3 different options, with 3 different sets of countries, and I chose this one because it seemed easiest and interesting. In my opinion, is largely reminiscent of Japanese gagaku music. The musicians are seen playing koto, taiko, and shakuhachi-like instruments. They are the Koreans' unique versions of them. A couple of major similarities to Japanese gagaku are how Korean traditional music is called kugak, and both use pentatonic scales. The 2 sets of standing instruments adding another layer of sound in the background make me think of Indonesian gamelan. Indonesia, that's what we studied as well. Due to their hanging nature, although I know they are very different and unique. So pentatonic is, you know, same 5 notes, but it could be any 5 notes. I think they have to be next to each other. And gamelan instruments they're basically in a frame, and they're hanging. They're usually made out of bronze, brass, or other materials like similar to those. So according to the task-specific dystonic tremor and the Korean traditional woodwind instrument, the Piri journal article, I think I had to find journal articles. One of the oboe-like woodwind instruments played in the video is called a Piri. The origin of Korean music journal article discusses the hourglass-shaped drum named the chango and the barrel drum or chwago playing next to it. Both contribute to a traditional Eastern style of free rhythm and slower drumming. I also saw the chango translated as jangu in the musical instruments straddle boundaries article. The gyeomongo is the Koreans' version of the Japanese koto we learned about in class. What I previously mistook for Indonesian gamelan instruments are actually pyeonjong, 16 bronze bells, and or pyeongyong, 16 stone chimes. Interestingly enough, in the origin of Korean music, inclusion refers to the earlier history of Korean music and other various names as it evolved. Hyangak is the fusion of Han Chinese and Central Asian with Korean music. However, Chinese court ritual music, Dasheng Yayue, Korean ak, and Song China's tsu music, Korean tangak, in addition to hyangak, resulted in court music. To us Westerners, kugak is simply all forms of traditional music, including court and folk, adapted to the early modern 20th century when Western music began to influence Eastern cultures. Also, my headphones are kind of falling apart right now, and it's really unfortunate. The left side I had to tape together because it's bending backwards. I've had these headphones for probably only half a year now because I had to get them replaced because when my mom/aunt got them for me with an extended warranty, I could have probably got them replaced again before it ran out because it only lasted for a year, but I just forgot, and they were still okay, but now the paint is kind of chipped and I had to tape it together because you can see the wire on the left side and it's really bad, but I'll have to probably get new headphones soon, unfortunately. Finally, I wanted to bring up the origins of Korean music and its ties to shamanism. The 5 shaman music areas were divided into 5 regions: Jeju Island, Northwest, Southwest, East, and Central. Each region had its own quirks and versions of fundamentally similar folk or shaman songs that reflected their respective linguistic dialects and cultures. I find it fascinating that despite being surrounded by the giant Confucianist/Buddhist China, Korean shamanism was able to thrive and even adopt certain elements of those other religions' philosophies into their rituals and songs. So next about Kuwait, and I think I'm trying to remember if we studied Arabic music at all, but maybe not, because I just said it reminded me. Kuwait's traditional Arabic music reminds me mostly of an Indian Bhajan Kriti, which Kriti I learned means creation, or like composition in the context of music. I think the song structure is similar because it starts off with the drone or melody of either the violin or instrument the main singer is holding. Then the percussion begins playing shortly thereafter. It's brief and subtle, but the song solely commences with the melody and drone. Then minor vocalizing with vocals before the real lyrics and meat of the song play out for the remaining 8 minutes. It's truly a work of art and beauty. My initial reactions are that the main singer with a microphone uses a very Western style looking guitar. There are violins, hand drums, hand clapping, and I even caught a glimpse of a tambourine. All in all, I really liked the music due to factors such as the main singer's intricately ornamented style of singing, which is like kind of vibrato, while furiously strumming away at the lute at times. The instruments interlock together to produce entertaining and complex rhythms, and the hand clapping ties it all together with a sense of community, groundedness, and adventure along the uncharted salty waves. As outlined in A Rich Culture Expressed in Music, musical instruments in the Upper Gulf region. The persistent hand clapping is known as the tasfik. The music itself is known as sat, and is usually accompanied by a corresponding zifan dance, but is not in this video. The oud or oud with an apostrophe. The lute-like instrument is wielded by the main singer or the naham, as the man next to him gloriously plays away on a violin coming from Western influence roots dating back to the 20th century. She dropped something. Many kinds of drums can be seen, as percussion instruments are historically essential to genres like the Kamari and Samri practices. Some drums that may have appeared in the video include sea drums or tabubari, mirwas or small handheld barrel drums, and even ihala or clay jars, notorious across cultures as becoming an impromptu instrument for travelers. One aspect of this music's history is how Kuwait's harbor was always a key characteristic in its development as a nation, as well as its sea-centric culture. Additionally, the first radio broadcasts occurred in Kuwait in 1951, and the radio's introduction was monumental in terms of connecting Kuwait's music with the likes of Egypt. Eventually, artists from around the Arabian Peninsula grew curious and came to experience the rich, refreshing folk songs and unique sounds. Located at the northernmost bit of the Persian Gulf, kettle drums of Saudi origin, Yemeni percussion, Persian bagpipes, and the African surnay, which is an oboe-like instrument, all collide to enrich and add to the tunes associated with pearl diving, to seamen going about their chores, and even shanties while hitching a ride on merchant ships with, Fijiri, maybe Fihiri, or Uns. Kuwait History, Culture, and Geography of Music, and Kuwait Modern and Contemporary Performance Practice by Lisa Urkovich. That's a citation at the end. Okay, last paragraph. Researching these particular songs was a fun process because I had the opportunity to pick which specific countries out of a set that I wanted to look further into, and relating the instruments and singing styles back to what I learned in class was like fitting pieces of a puzzle together. That's the great thing about history. It all makes sense, even if it doesn't really. It was also a great tool for studying before the final exam because I was forced to look back at my notes and review previous units I am likely rusty on so that I could understand these two countries in depth. It is always a blast and a treat to learn more about different cultures because in the end, the music may sound foreign and wildly contrasting from what we're originally used to, but at its root, the music is more similar than we may think. It is simply a means for mankind to express complex concepts, feelings, triumphs, and tragedies, and connect with others who also identify with those same struggles and victories. Music is beautiful across cultures and filled in the puzzle pieces throughout humanity's history, across wars and times of peace, oceans and continents, villages and kingdoms alike. Absolute cinema. So yeah, that was my music class. I'll try to list off some names I remember. I'll pull up the music app on my computer. So, because there's a couple songs I saved, like Folsom Prison Blues by Johnny Cash, and this one Native American band that did a cover, I think. I have to put in my password real quick, hopefully it's correct. Because I never use the music app on my computer. Oh, it worked. Alright, bet. Never mind. Okay. It's fine, I don't have to sign in. I just pressed cancel. Let me look up, because I don't be incorrect. Folsom Prison Blues. What band covered it that I added to my playlist? Unless I just added the Johnny Cash version. Not the Tennessee 2, I don't think. It's okay. Maybe, no, probably not Los Hermanos Mendoza. That sounds Hispanic. Okay, that's okay. And then, what else? Actually, it might take me a while to find, but let me just go to, can I go to my favorites playlist? Maybe not. Maybe I'll go to artists. Okay. No. Okay. This will take me a second, so I'll just stop real quick. Okay, last but not least, I'll skip some other bands because it'll take me a while to find all the music I added to my playlist. But I'll talk about Distorcy by the Ahmad Band, which I found interesting because the guy got in a car crash or something, like he was drunk. But that song in particular is like a social commentary or criticism of the government somewhere, wherever he's from. I don't exactly remember. But that'll do it for this video. If you want me to talk more about my music class, I will. I'll make sure to use my notes next time, and so I can go more in depth. Or maybe I'll do it of my own volition. But either way, next time, I guess I could talk about either my Zoom class or global economics. My Zoom class, I don't have much to say about that because it's only a 1-credit class and it was pretty easy, but it was actually my lowest grade that I got last semester because I just didn't try that hard on the assignments. I mean, I did, but I got bad grades at first, so then I stopped trying. But yeah, that'll do it for this video. Hope everyone has a great Monday if you're seeing this today, and a great holiday. Happy Emperor's birthday. And if you're seeing this at some other point in the future, just have a great day. Enjoy your life. Say I love you to your family and be excellent. That's a quote Lucas says, so I hope you're watching this, Lucas. And if you fell asleep to this, I hope you hear that subliminally. All right, stay frosty, everyone.